taking illegal aliens in will just crowd the jails. It's a federal issue. They're already crowded. It's a federal issue, and I think the feds need to take care of it. And if they don't, which they don't always do, we need to put pressure on them through the city, through the population to bring this to their attention. But at this point, the city can't really afford it. If you don't want higher taxes, we can't afford a whole lot more policemen.
Lyda will start off the next question. Should soda and other sugar drinks be taxed in an effort to curb obesity?
Okay, that's an interesting question.
Okay,
Are we talking about city taxes or some sort of city tax?
City taxes. Should the city tax sodas to discourage children from drinking sodas and sugar drinks?
That wasn't the most pressing issue that I think I thought about on my agenda here, but I would say that, one, I would want to look at it as a mechanism for raising or creating revenue for the city. However, I don't like the city being involved in more taxing and more intrusion into our life than need be. That being said, I think sodas need to be out of the schools. I think soda machines and the junk food machines have to be out of the schools. I have a daughter who attends Mesita, and I can tell you that I've gone down there to make sure that she has a nutritious lunch, because I can't control what goes into my child 24/7, unfortunately, as much as I would like to. So I'll be honest, I don't actually have an opinion on that one way or the other at this point, because I don't think it's the most pressing issue in our city right now when we're facing a county and a city that's practically going bankrupt.
No. That's ridiculous. If you guys want to eat chips and sodas, drink your chips and sodas. Who am I to tell you guys, or put a tax on, or who's city government to put a tax on what you guys want to eat, what you guys want to drink, what you guys want to do? You know?
Well, I'm kind of surprised by this question too. But I agree. I don't think it's the city's responsibility to tax sodas and junk food. I don't. Obviously, my children are out of school and my grandchildren are in school, and I wish they don't live in El Paso. But I wish they didn't eat that stuff, and they do. But that's more for the schools to take charge of, and not a tax. Thank you.
Less government intrusion is better.
Please give your opinion on the privatization of garbage collection.
Oh, the flow control. You know, this is beyond my grasp of thinking here. Why would the city of El Paso pay more money to dump trash in a Clint landfill as opposed to saving a ton of money and doing it here in Benton, in a better spot? Think about the trip Everybody can relate to this. How long does it take someone to drive from Artcraft or Red Road to the Horizon exit? Pretty long time, huh? Yeah. How long does it take for someone to drive from Red Road or Artcraft to Benton? Now imagine that vehicle being a, 2-ton garbage truck. And then for as green and as progressive as our city wants to be, how much diesel does that waste? How much carbon monoxide does that expel? How much trash blows out of a garbage truck when it's traveling at a high rate of speed down the freeway? Thank you.
Well, as it is now, this question is really it's in the courts. Waste Connections is suing the city. So we don't really have an answer, but going forward, I hope the city can work with Waste Connections. I think there's a place for both of us to be there, and Waste Connections certainly has some good points about going to Benton, and the city has some other issues. At one point, we were talking about Waste Connections paying the city $2.5 million a year to do their business in El Paso. And I certainly hope that comes up again after this lawsuit.
Anything private industry can do to save the city money, I'm in favor of.
Very good. Rita?
I am actually in agreement with trying to privatize as much as possible. The amount of revenue that the city and the county have at the current time is minimal, and it's an expense that I would prefer to set out for bid. Competition is always good, and if you can have the private sector compete for something, I think that you end up with a better service at a better cost for our community.
All right, let it go take and keep the microphone since I was, I'll try to give you that one time.
I think it's
But you did start.
I started.
Right, well, we're done with our questions.
Oh, yeah.
He did wonderful with time. Didn't he do great with time? So, you have time for closing arguments. Let me check. I'm going to, instead of 2 minutes, you got 3 minutes for closing arguments, and we will start with Mike.
Living here in El Paso for close to 13 years, actually 14 years at this point, I'm tired of my financial burdens going up and up and up. I left, when I first moved here, I came here because I was prosecuting child abuse cases. That's what brought me to El Paso. And so I did that for 3 years. And when I decided to stay and I decided to raise my family here, I did it because the quality of life was amazing. I could take my children, well, at that time I had one child, I could take one child, I could take her out to the parks, I could go out into the community, we could go to Trans Mountain, and I had a good quality of life. Last year, my taxes doubled on my home. I went down there, I contested it, I got my taxes reduced, but at the same time, I'm struggling as a small business owner. When I write those paychecks, when I'm trying to make payroll, when I'm trying to bring in employees, I have to take all of that into consideration. If I'm making sacrifices, which I'm doing every day for me and my children, the city has to make a sacrifice. They have to cut some of the unnecessary spending out. I don't agree with the 4-day workday at City Council. I think that having planning, the planning department, when you need construction going on, being closed on Friday, is ridiculous. It stops the business expansion that we need in this town. I do believe that El Paso continues to be an amazing place. My family don't live here, my parents. Every time they come to visit, they end up staying for close to a month and a half at a time because they love it so much here. I know that we can bring more business, and I know we can create tax incentives and tax breaks, and at the same time save the city money by trying to create privatization of many of the agencies that are currently run by the city. Right now, I don't think that the City Council has been accessible to my district. I don't think that they have been there when there have been concerns that business and civic constituents have had, and they need to talk to them. I plan on making that very great change. Government needs to be out of our lives as much as possible, but when they have to be involved, they have the responsibility to us. And right now, I think that the tables have been turned. So I plan to restore transparency. I plan to restore my responsibility as a civic duty. Personally, I can say I've been representing families here for 13 years. I represent a lot of folks coming to me from military divorces. It's unfortunately a great social crisis we're having here in El Paso. I represent children who are in the child abuse system, and I represent those families. And I can tell you the resources that are going on and are available for people in our community are diminishing. So I don't understand how my taxes are going up, but at the same time, my services are going down, or at least the services for those of us, for people who are not as fortunate as we are. So that would be my goal, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, that was great.
Once again, thank you guys for coming, and I hope you've noticed kind of a reoccurring theme of the things that I say. Everything's pretty, yes or no, black or white, it's this way, it's that way, and I'm not going to speak in generalities. I came back to this great city to hopefully contribute to it in some aspect. I opened a business with the hopes of helping people in business save money on their commercial insurances. And I see how City Council has greatly stifled and bottlenecked our job creators here in the city. I work with them every single day. As a matter of fact, I probably have 4 or 5 missed calls from people right now. And I think that, you know, I agree with Lida on the 4-day work week. You know, how can a public service entity not be available for the public 5 days a week when, you know, everybody that I know works on Fridays? And it just doesn't make sense to me. They've insulated and isolated themselves almost to the point where you have to make an appointment, or you have to plan ahead, and you have to make sure there's no one in line waiting for you. And if you can make an appointment, sometimes they won't even see you. So, you know, it's my duty, it's my goal to have meetings every week at a designated location where my constituents can meet with me, talk with me, express their concerns, and give you guys as straight an answer as humanly possible. Yes, no, black, white, and bring real solutions to city council. Because we've seen a bunch of generalities and rhetoric, and, you know, we'll do this if this happens, and this, you know, we need some straightforward talk up at city council, and that's what I propose for you guys. Some straightforward answers, some straightforward talk, and some total transparency from a local and native El Pasoan who's lived here my entire life, but 2 years, grew up in my district, went to school in my district, has family in my district, has done almost everything under the sun in my district. So, I mean, I know my district pretty well. So, thank you again for your time, and thank you.
Well, on the subject of taxes, I would like to point out that the city taxes have not gone up in the last 6 years. And what has gone up are your school taxes. The school taxes, the city taxes are only a fourth of your tax bill. The school taxes are the other part of it, and the county taxes. So the city's held the line. We've done a very good job. I would like to talk to you about when I got in office, I got a call from a neighbor at Mesita School who said that there was a sexual predator living right next door to the school, and there was. And so I went to the city attorney, and we worked on a law to keep sexual predators away from schools by 1,000 feet, and parks and libraries, and daycare centers. Well, I found out from the city attorney that we couldn't do this because it wasn't a state law. So in the next legislative assembly, we got the law together, and it's passed for the whole state of Texas that sexual predators cannot live within 1,000 feet of any school. And this makes the children of El Paso a lot safer, even the children of most cities in Texas. So I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of the way the city runs. We close on Fridays to save money. It saves $200,000 every 6 months if we close on Friday. That's why we do it. It puts a lot of pressure on the representatives and the people that work there to make up those days going forward. And a lot of us work on Fridays and some Saturdays. If I'm out of town, I go back on Friday and Saturday, and I don't go out of town very much. So as far as that goes, I think the city is doing a great job. There's one of the ways we're saving money. As far as Trans Mountain goes, there is now an issue or a project on the table for the Southern Relief Route, and it will go through the Anthony Gap, and it will take the trucks. Trucks are not allowed on Trans Mountain. If they're there, they're illegal. It is for traffic, for car traffic only. Thank you. Oh, and I have one other thing to say. Going forward, El Paso is going to be the most vibrant city there is. We're going to have great neighborhoods and great traffic solutions, not just DRT buses, but like rail. I mean, this takes a lot of planning and trolleys, and we're on this issue, and we'll go forward with it. Thank you.
60 years of life experience, 20 years of business experience, and when it comes to taxes, I don't get fooled. I know the fees have been doubling all around us. Okay, so this cost shifting doesn't go past me. Every tax hike that should come around or is proposed or is put on the table has to pass the test. Is it legal? Is it voter approved? Is it going to help the city? What is the cost-benefit analysis? And lastly, and most importantly, I will represent the values and the vote of the people and not go against it.
All right, well, I want to thank these candidates from District 1 very much. I was very impressed with the answers and